So we called him and he was like, I happen to have a cancellation tomorrow. You guys want to come? And we're like, yeah, we'll be there. What time? Where do we go? And I wrote him back and said, oh, by the way, our 5-year-old's with us. Is that okay?
Hello and welcome to the Wild Dispatch. I'm Robin and I'm back with more skills and stories from the wild. We have another fantastic duo of guests for you today. Last week actually was the first ever duo on the show. It was a pair of leopard trackers from South Africa. And this week we are keeping the doubly bubbly vibes going with another power couple from the outdoors. This time on the opposite side of the world, over here in Northern California. Their names are Hans and Adrienne Olufs, and not only have they been sweethearts since school days, but together they have created and continue to run the popular archery pro shop, West Coast Archery, which is just north of San Francisco. On top of being entrepreneurs and raising a family, they managed to get a bunch of wild adventures in each year. So unsurprisingly, we have a bunch of wild stories for you today, plus more than a few practical tips too. I want to give my thanks again to Hans and Adrienne for sharing their stories and skills and time with me today. And also thanks to everyone who keeps tuning in each week. It's lovely to have you back. Now, it's time for me to stop waffling and let's get on with the show. Okay.
Got it.
Hans and Adrienne, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to be. In general, I'm always excited, but I'm extra excited that you opened up early. Thanks for setting everything up for me so that I could come and talk to you guys in person. It's always a little bit better when you do this thing face to face.
Yeah.
That's a little clue as to who you guys are. I'll let you do that explaining yourselves. I think that's probably the best way to go. So if you wouldn't mind giving a little intro as to who you are and what you're all about. Hans, why don't you go first? Well, I mean, you can speak for both or one, or I guess your story is so intertwined. That's the thing, isn't it?
Where do you want me to start?
Well, I guess the shop, right?
Okay.
You guys, who you guys are in terms of this community.
Well, the shop, we started about 13 years ago. And it was just a part-time gig.
Yeah.
A couple hours a day. I was working at the time, I was working at Lagunitas full-time.
Okay.
As a welder, mechanic.
Oh, wow.
I worked there around 10 years doing all the welding and mechanic stuff, anything they needed me to do.
Okay.
Moving bottling lines, whatever. So after that, I'd come to the shop.
Okay, so you're working hard.
Oh, yeah.
Working hard. Okay, so we are jumping ahead of ourselves, though. So I should set up, first of all, the shop that we're talking about even, is West Coast Archery Shop.
Yep.
So let me do this. I'll do a little setup, first of all, because I would absolutely love to go into the what's the word? The story, the beginning story for the both of you. But in a nutshell, West Coast Archery Shop. I met you guys, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago, maybe 18 months ago. Mm-hmm. You very kindly took me under your wing and showed me all the things I was doing wrong with bow setup and helped me get a bow that fits me very well. And from what I hear, because I've got some gossip about you guys already. I did some research.
Boy.
No, I've heard fantastic things, and you guys have been serving the archery and the bow hunting community in this whole area of, I guess, Sonoma County. Is that where we are right now?
Yeah, Sonoma County.
For how long now?
About 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
Probably a little longer. Yeah.
Maybe longer.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for sharing the time with me. I know that you're very busy. I already heard the phone ringing, and it's before you've even opened. So I'm sure there's people
totally
who
normal.
want to pick your brains. Yeah. So we've did a little bit about you, Hans. Adrienne, you grew up in this area, did you? Or did you?
Yep, we were both born and raised here.
Okay. In Sonoma County?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
In
interesting.
Petaluma.
In Petaluma.
Yep. Didn't go too far.
Okay. Interesting. And you actually just got back from a trip in Hawaii, right? I saw some pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
Looks like you had an amazing time. I'm guessing that that's not your normal beach holiday kind of jam.
It's normal for us, but it's not normal for most people.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you get up to? You just hunting animals the whole time?
I think we spent one day on the beach,
Okay.
but it's kind of unique where you can spend some time on the beach and some time on the mountain in the same day.
Really?
Oh yeah. So we hunt pretty much every single day when we're there.
Yeah.
Carter comes with us, our son.
Okay.
What do we spend the first 3 days up on the mountain?
Yeah, we spent
volcano-ish area.
first 3 days on the mountain, mornings and evenings.
Okay.
Everything's close enough so you can come down if you want to. And
Okay, so it's not actually very far. Which island is this?
We're on the Big Island.
Oh, in the Big Island.
Yeah.
Kona, yeah.
Okay. And so, okay, this wasn't even in my mind. So you're able to like hunt hard in the morning, get a few hours in, and then as it heats up, just go and chill,
Come down the hill.
have a cocktail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
You
is
go from like foggy and raining up on the mountain to sunny and nice down on the beach.
that's so nice. I need to get over there, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pick your brains about how to do that the right way
Yeah.
at some point, because it looks like you're doing it the right way.
Yeah. We've spent a lot of years doing it, so I like to think we've kind of perfected what we like to do when we're over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many years have you been going over there?
Oh, like 20 probably.
20 years.
That makes me feel so old, but like
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah. Since we got married.
You're like,
I
yeah,
think,
since we were like 20 years old.
Okay, so I'm going to go on a little sidetrack here. Since you got married, I think I heard this story, but I'd love to hear it again. Didn't you, for your honeymoon, go to Hawaii for a hunting trip?
Yes, we did.
Kauai.
Kauai,
Yeah.
but not Big Island.
Not Big Island.
Okay, that was a different place.
Yeah.
The first trip to the islands was Kauai. We read a
Yeah.
article in the Eastman?
Yeah, I think so.
The Eastman Hunting Journal, and about this couple going into Poly Coast and hunting goats.
Oh, yeah.
We
And
were
we're
like,
like-
oh, we should do that.
So much fun,
Yeah.
right? So we're like, okay, that's what we decided to do in our honeymoon for 3 days, to go do that part of it.
It's so amazing.
And it was pretty cool. You hunt the whole Nepali coast, was it, whatever, 16 miles or,
It's like
whatever.
12 miles in.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like pretty rough out there. I mean, I don't know if
It's
it's the same
terrifying,
now.
is what it is.
Yeah.
Really?
The trails, a lot of times, is shut down because of the rains
Oh, it
and
just
stuff,
washes-
so you got to get permits. to
They
be able to
go in
on
and
it.
like maintenance the trails and make it better. But the first time we went was, I don't think I even realized how afraid of heights I was until we were on this trail, and it's like a foot wide, sloping down to the like a 1,500 foot drop to the ocean.
And you can just see the waves
Like no
crashing
matter
below
where I
you.
look, my eye, like my peripheral vision's just like on the waves. And I remember, like, we'll never forget this. He was like, "Do you want to turn around?" I'm like, I think I said to you, like, I don't want to go forward. I don't want to turn around. I just want to, like, I'd give my life savings for like a helicopter to just come pick me up right now, because I was so scared, but we made it.
Yeah, they haven't done maintenance at that point for a long time.
Yeah.
On the trail.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
was you were the people that discovered that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, people use it all the
Use
time.
it all the time, but
Okay.
We just didn't know
yeah, we didn't know.
what we were
didn't know
getting
what to
ourselves
expect.
into.
Yeah.
So Hans, what were you thinking at that point? Adrienne's there, like, no,
I was
this is
literally
like,
crying.
Yeah.
this is like your honeymoon. Is this what you? What was your like? Oh, what were you
I
thinking?
just started to keep my head forward and down and go.
Yeah.
There was points there that was pretty sketchy. You know, one hand's on the cliff wall, and the other, your right eye is just looking in the ocean 300 yards down.
Oh man.
And it's just crashing again. Like there wasn't much room. Then I turn around and she's on the trail, kind of seized up a little bit. So I kind of
Seized up.
backtrack and, you know, okay, come on, we could do this. You know, people do it all the time. People live back here.
Yeah.
They walk barefooted back there. So,
But you guys, I imagine, have got like packs and
We got
bows
packs.
and all that stuff
course.
extra.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of extra paraphernalia.
Yeah.
bows hanging off the packs. Yeah, all the fun stuff. You know.
But once you get back there, it's like the most like spiritual, magical place to be in.
What's it like?
It's just like this gorgeous, like lush valleys, and it just has a different feeling. You like the sounds and the breeze and everything is just like, it's just a magical place that a lot of people don't go to.
Yeah.
On that part of it anyway.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. There's no doubt.
I think there's also something kind of magical, isn't there? When you've been through a certain level of peril to get somewhere. Like me and my wife also did a thing when we were in South Africa. We had this harebrained idea. It turned out to be harebrained after the fact. Like as we were in the same situation where we were like, oh, there's this amazing mountain range near where my wife's family lives. And we're like, well, should we just try and see if there's a way to get across that mountain range, you know? And it's maybe only 4,500 feet high, but it's, you know, sheer rocks and there's just like a traverse. And I'd seen this thing on an exercise app that some crazy people had done like a trail run. It was like a 40-mile trail run across this whole network of mountains. So,
Wow.
you know, I was like, oh, you know, people did it in a day in a trail run. How hard can it be? Oh man, as I was like looking down sheer cliff faces, and you don't really know a trail, you're just following one GPS track, but you don't know obviously how good it is. I was definitely in a few moments of absolute peril there. I'm like, what have I got us
But you can't
into
tell your
here?
wife. Like,
I think she had to calm me down, to be honest. Like I got us in this thing, and I was feeling that like, oh man, if I like really fucked up here, like this is bad.
I'm responsible.
Like, let's make the right choices now. Should we? I think I was like, should we just go back? Like, but she was like, no, it's fine. And when we got to this area, and it's the same kind of thing, right? This area which is like, I haven't seen a footprint, no sign of mankind, barely, you know, nothing. And it's just this beautiful valley with a river flowing through. It's like paradise, you know, and you get there and you're just like, oh.
And you only see those things when you like push through and be uncomfortable. And then you see those. We went back like a couple years later just because I was like, I was so terrified. We just need to go back. I need to just like conquer my fear and do it again. And we went back and the trail was a little bit better and it was a little bit easy. Like I knew what to expect.
Exactly.
You know, so it was a little bit better.
Big surprises.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But the fun part is coming back out when we've been in there for 3 days, just covered in mud and mosquito bites and there's like the day hikers in their swimsuits and flip-flops walking like the first mile to the beach or whatever. And we're just like, we have bows on our backs and we're just covered in mud and they're all staring at us like we are the most disgusting people
rowdiest
in the world.
looking people they've ever seen.
Yeah, did you catch anything is what they kept asking us.
Oh,
did you catch anything?
man.
I didn't catch anything.
Did you guys have any success over there on those trips in those areas?
Yeah, we did all right.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So then you've got to carry an animal back as well.
Yeah, you're just shooting the feral goats back there.
Yeah.
They're not that big, you know, body wise they're pretty small. At the time it was, I believe it was unlimited, much as you can carry out.
Yeah.
So you have 20, you know, 20 pounds, 25 pounds of meat on these little goats.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It was a great experience to hunt the islands in the first time, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For sure.
Well, thanks for sharing that story with me. Yeah. Like I had that on my radar, having heard a little bit of that story before.
Very jungly on that island.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm guessing a lot of insects then.
So we, going back a little bit, we went another time, and the cover has grown, the canopy has grown a lot.
Yeah.
To the point you can't even see 30 yards.
Really?
Yeah. The first time it was really open underneath, and you could see things, and we went back, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, and it was pretty canopied up underneath. Like you couldn't see too far.
Yeah.
So it's very quiet.
That changes the way you sort of hunt an area, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
You got really close up.
Yes. So it's changed a lot.
Well, that's cool though. I mean, I sometimes find that kind of terrain a bit frustrating when it's so close, because it's nice to be able to see something and make a plan. But like, if you just got to have the patience, right? It's an exercise in moving super slow and As soon as it starts feeling like, oh, I'm not going to see anything, that's usually when something runs away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But anyway, we should go back. Like I'm excited to hear all of these stories and pick your brains about lots of things, bow hunting and archery and all that good stuff. But I'd love to go even further back, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
But we grew up very differently.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was just kind of born and raised on a ranch, nothing, a smaller ranch. Where we
Okay.
had 30, 40 cows. Grandpa had several hundred sheep. And growing up, my dad, my grandpa, they ranch slaughtered. So they had a kill truck. They went around if you had a cow in your yard.
Yeah.
You need somebody to kill it and bring it to the meat shop, to get cut up. They would be the one. So I was, as a little kid growing up in the truck, driving,
Yeah.
that was everyday life in the summertime,
Okay.
So a little different than most, for sure.
So during your vacation, you're just like learning all about the realities of processing animals and where meat comes from. That's
the way it was,
Yeah.
in the 90s and stuff. Everybody in Sebastopol had yards and they raised their beef for the year, and it was very, very common,
Yeah.
at the time. That meat comes from somewhere, yeah.
So I'm guessing you
So-
had there was never a short supply of meat then.
No. Meat was never an issue,
Yeah.
No, it was definitely a different way, but a good, learned a lot,
Yeah.
raised a lot of our own chickens to eat and eggs and rabbits and everything. As growing up to about 15 years old, that was from, very small. The walking to 15 was very,
So did you have any
On the ranch life.
responsibilities in the ranch life? Kind of so I can't even pronounce the word ranch. I can't say.
Yeah. Yeah, we fed the cows. I used to go with my grandpa. We used to feed the sheep. He used to be in back of the truck, and I'd throw the hay over. We had a couple ranches. He at the time he leased in our own, and he just, I went and fed the sheep with them in the mornings.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we did.
So I
But
got
you kind of had your hands in everything that
Yeah,
they
we
did
had-
all the time.
Well, yeah, we had to do everything. We had
Kind
to
of
split
farm
20
life.
cord of wood a year. Butcher the chickens, butcher the rabbits. Yeah, we did. Summers were definitely different. We worked all summer.
yeah.
We didn't do vacations.
It wasn't vacation, so
No,
to speak.
I haven't. At the point, I'd never been on a plane until I met my wife.
Wow. So
So-
you were living you were being put to work from a young age.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
And I'm guessing, at least some of the conversations I've had with other people who grew up around farms and that lifestyle, did you have a lot of time for hunting at that point, or was that something that came later?
Kind of came a little later. The family hunted, gun hunted.
Okay.
So when I came of age, got my hunting license and, of course, started hunting deer.
Mm-hmm.
But just had a ranch on Sonoma Mountains here, and we just went up there, did the typical drive around, walk around, find a decent buck, and try to take it. But yeah, the bow hunting definitely came quite a bit later.
Quite a bit later.
Yeah.
So we'll jump to that in a second, but Adrienne, tell me about your experience. You said it was quite different growing up.
Yeah, quite different. I didn't grow up on a farm. I didn't grow up hunting at all. My parents are hard workers and made sure we had a lot of experiences and traveled a lot. I had 2 younger siblings. So I didn't have any of that stuff.
Okay.
But I would say that we had a lot of just a lot of outdoor experiences, a lot of camping, a lot of looking at the stars, a lot of figuring out the way things worked. So we kind of, when him and I met, we could kind of mesh those things a little bit,
Yeah.
And I didn't start hunting until I met him either. So
Okay. So in my research, it turns out that some of that was incorrect information, I think. I was misinformed.
Oh,
But
okay.
I've got a little nugget of information about you. Maybe there's some truth in it.
okay,
You have a family history in the town of Piercy. Is that right?
yeah.
Okay. Can you
Yeah.
tell me about that? But you didn't actually grow up in Piercy.
No, I did not. No.
Okay.
So my family had a logging business and logging property in Piercy, which
Okay.
had they have had it forever, and we recently had to sell it in the last 5 years, but we spent a lot of time up there, past the time that when they were doing logging, they were done with it. And we kind of went up there and got everything going again as far as like water and electricity in the house, and cleaned everything up. And we spent a lot every single weekend up there, just like hunting and fishing and driving around. And I think that's where like a lot of this really
stem
brewed,
from.
That was when you were quite young. You were going up there, was it?
Yeah, we were like teenagers.
Amazing. I mean, it's from what, because I didn't even know where Piercy was until I heard the name and looked it up. But it's not far from the Lost Coast, right? Like it's quite a way up the 101.
Yeah, so my family used to have from the Eel River to the Lost Coast.
Wow.
Yeah.
That whole area. Wow. Okay.
So they have pretty deep roots there.
Yeah. That's cool. And it's pretty wild up there, right? I mean, I've spent quite a lot of time messing around trying to find animals and getting up to mischief.
It's pretty thick. It's pretty thick.
Yeah.
The property that they had, it was pretty thick. A lot of bears.
Yeah.
Smaller deer. And the bears didn't show up until about 8-9 years ago.
Oh, really?
When we first started going up there was no bear sign, no bear prints, no bear nothing. And all of a sudden,
I've seen tons
bears.
of bears up there.
Like everywhere.
I mean, I've taken a bear up in that area. It's
no shortage.
If I'm ever wanting to go hunt bears, I go up there.
Yep.
Like that's
Yeah.
top tip for everyone, I guess.
It's a pretty cool place.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just, that coastline as well. It's just so untouched. It's so nice. Okay, so
cool.
It sounds like life was pretty outdoorsy for both of you in maybe slightly different ways. But I'd love to hear like the story of how you guys met. I think, was it in school that you met?
We met through friends, high school friends.
You always look a little bit sad when I asked you that question.
God, was I a freshman?
Well, when we first met, you were
met,
probably
I
a
was
freshman, which our son is a freshman this year, so that feels like so weird.
Okay, so what, 16, is that the right?
Yeah, you're probably 16.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm a year and a half older than him.
So do you remember a particular time, like the moment when you met, like you became like aware of each other?
Yeah, I do. I do. It's just, very shy. I never really talked much. So it, say hi, my friends was friends with one of her friends.
We had like a giant friend group that was made it a little easier to get to know people before you commit to anything.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the sheepishness. I'm imagining, there must have been a moment though. Was it like an invite to the dance or something
that
like that?
was
No, we weren't like
later
dance.
on.
We were like on ranches having parties.
Yeah.
So that's what was going on.
Fields and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Forgive my ignorance. I'm coming from England. I've got no reality. My only perspective is like what I see in Hollywood.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, no dances.
No.
But it wasn't till. God, I don't even know what year it was.
I know. I feel like now we're talking about this like a big blur.
I was a junior in high school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When he
When
actually
we first
became a thing.
started.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you guys? I guess the thing I'm curious about, like, when did you like start hunting together? Who was it that started the hunting? And
I think we started fishing.
Okay, you started fishing together.
Yeah, we started steelhead fishing.
Okay, was that like a date scenario? Like, let's go fishing?
Their property had some of the best steelhead stuff running through it.
Okay.
So why not go try it out? I never steelhead fished at that point.
Okay.
I just liked fishing. And I bow hunted at that point.
You had bow hunting?
I was bow hunting at that point because that means I was driving. I had a job. My first purchase was a bow.
Oh, really?
So I had a bow.
Okay.
So, God, I don't remember when you got a bow.
Okay, so I got one, like your hand-me-down bow. I got a Matthews MQ-32. That's how long ago that was.
Yeah.
And
sounds about right.
But the first deer that I ever shot was with a rifle, and that's the only thing I've ever shot with a rifle.
Yeah.
So, and that was up at my property.
Yeah.
And
was that like a moment that you were like, "Hey, do you want to try out hunting?" Or you
pretty
wanted
much.
to try
That's
out
pretty
the
much
hunting?
how it went.
Adrienne, it was your thing. You're like, "I want to get into this."
No, not really. I mean, we had just always done stuff together. I had always gone with him.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying like, "Hey, do you want to shoot your first buck? And I was like, okay, that's like how rifle hunting goes, right?
Yeah.
And so I shot the buck with my rifle, and that wasn't like super eventful for me. I don't know. I know you're like taking a life, but it's like so different now, having the perspective of bow hunting a lot. It's so different, you know.
Yeah. It's so different than...
You're not like in that relationship, you know, in the wild with it.
It's true. You're much further away. There isn't any...
Yeah.
It is very true, right? Like when you're 30, 40, 50 yards away from an animal, you're seeing, it's almost like they're thinking about stuff. You're like, you get its personality in a way, don't you?
But it was like, okay, I can do this, and I'm seeing that we're getting meat from this, and this is how we do this. You know, so it was a good introduction. And I had a bow at that time, and we were just doing like 3D shoots and shooting targets. I think it was maybe like that year or maybe a year later, I shot a turkey was my first animal with a bow up there also.
Okay.
Which was so cool. It was so much cooler than like shooting a deer with a rifle.
Yeah.
Not to
crazy,
compare,
right?
but like it was just like, you know, build your own blind. Like we called it in. It was just like from a brand new hunter's perspective, I think like turkey hunting is such the way to go. It's just so action packed.
Yeah.
Get that turkey to come right in. You can make a good shot. It was like, I was definitely hooked after that.
It came in perfect.
Yeah,
on the
we
string.
couldn't have made it any better.
It was awesome. So exciting.
How far was the shot?
Oh, not far, like 20 yards
Yeah,
maybe.
20 to 30 yards probably.
Yeah.
But it was so cool.
Yeah.
You know, the whole calling it in, building the excitement, then be able to close the shot. You know, it's just so rewarding.
Yeah.
You know, so exciting to see anybody do it. But
yeah, but it must have been nice.
Share it,
the love of your life.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, it's really cool.
I mean, you must have had high hopes, Hans.
He's like, if this works out, we're doing this for a while.
Yeah.
I guess it's like a high stress make or break situation. You're like, oh, this is, I want this to go right.
Yeah, we didn't have turkeys down here yet, really. We had a few down in this area, Sonoma County, but it was kind of a big thing at the time.
Yeah.
We all take one with the bow. It's pretty exciting, you know?
Yeah, no one's doing that.
Nobody was doing it yet. I mean, there was a few people, but it was pretty small. Very, very small.
And so that was the beginning of a giant snowball.
Yeah.
Then it just kept on rolling,
Pretty much.
Yep.
I guess the question is, you said that you already had a bow, Hans, but like, what made you want to pick up a bow? Was there anything in your family or anyone around you using a bow?
So my brother shot the old Jennings Carbon Extreme, I believe it was. Okay. And I remember watching him. We're 8 years apart, difference in age. I remember watching him shoot him.
So he's your big brother?
My big brother. So I remember watching him shoot, and I'm like, oh, God, that's so cool. He's shooting a bow. Like, that's just... We had guns. We have guns. That's what we grew up with. Lots of them. My dad has FFL for many years. The bow just fascinated me. I just watching them shooting those little carbon arrows at the time with outsert nocks and outsert inserts, you know, at the time, you know, the Beemans. And I just was fascinated, but I didn't have any money to buy it. You know, I didn't have I just worked on the ranch, you know, helped out on the ranch. You know, money was a tougher thing to come by. So it was, my first job. So when I saw that, I was like, I gotta get a bow. You know, that was, you know, when I got my first job, first 2 paychecks went to a bow.
Amazing.
Swear to God. Yeah,
and
crazy.
That was it. You just committed.
I literally had no money, and I spent it all on a bow and arrow.
Every penny.
Yeah, what you don't do, I did it. Yeah. And it was, from there, that was it from there. Shooting archery.
Okay, and Adrienne, when did you follow suit pretty quickly afterwards, or?
That was probably like, I don't know, a couple years afterwards. Yeah. I mean, I probably got his, first hand-me-down bow?
Oh, classic.
Right?
Yeah.
Was that your first bow?
It's MQ32.
Yeah,
but
and
wait,
then I got it.
Hans, how old were you? So you were 16?
16.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 16.
Okay, so young. So you're like, I mean, compound bows must have looked pretty different back then.
Well, the MQ32 was, I mean, those were, I wish I got the bigger one, but I got the smaller one. But that was top stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was totally different. But I bought a Matthews. I just, I walked into a shop and there's like, here you go, $635, right? Or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was, so yeah, from there that was it,
But like this, I mean, I'll probably be able to find a picture of this bow, and I'll put it in my Instagram before when I put this pod out. But like, did it have cams on both ends? Is that the level that it had? Forgive me, because I've only been bow hunting for about 5 years.
So it's a single cam bow.
Single cam bow.
Yeah. So wheel on top, cam on the bottom.
Yeah.
Not parallel limb at all.
Okay.
Very short riser. It was a pretty short bow at the time.
Yeah.
I should have got an MQ1, but that's all the shop had is the 32s or the short version, at the time. So I got what I got. I was super excited, for it.
Yeah. I mean, of course, man.
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah, the rest, just a regular, non-dropping rest. I think I started mine with a whisker biscuit at the time.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And no D-loops, just crimp on nocks.
Okay.
And peep tubing on the string, to keep your peep straight at the time.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, things were just they're evolving, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like early tech.
But that was it. It's all we knew.
So were you using a release at that point?
I was using old Scott Shark. Yep. I still have that to this day.
Okay, cool. Okay, so at that point, is like releases had started being used, because I'm guessing at that point, compound technology, it's like, it's not very accurate unless you use a release, right? Like that's how people were figuring out at that point.
Yeah, and the shorter bows, that's what they needed to do. But yeah, releases were becoming super popular at the time. Super popular.
So what was the first thing you took with a bow?
Oh, it might have been I think it was a pig with my buddies. We had a ranch above Lake Sonoma that we hunted all the time. And I remember shooting a pig with a Vortex broadhead at like 15 yards, like a little 80-pound pig.
Yeah.
I'm super pumped. It was the heat of summer. I remember it being super hot. Like,
what time in the day was it?
It was the evenings.
Okay, so it was still really hot.
Yeah, it's just hot up there, 100 degrees. We're hunting these pigs in July or whatever, and because I think I bought my bow, I want to say around July-ish or June-ish, and yeah, from there I was hooked, pretty big.
I can imagine. So it was like pretty done and dusted, simple event. You just shot the thing and it ran 20 yards and fell over.
It literally ran 20 yards. It was just so close. And I didn't know anything.
Beginner's luck.
Yeah, beginner's luck. Or I was shooting good. I mean, it felt like it's good, but I never thought I had that. I didn't get that excited shooting a rifle, right?
Yes.
An animal. But the bow was definitely a different beast.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, I mean, for sure. How did you, forgive me if you already suggested how you did this, but how did you get close to the thing?
So
did you stalk up on it, or did you have a little hide or something?
We were kind of on a trail.
Okay.
And we're just, the pigs come out of the thick area, go feed.
Yeah.
Into these opens,
yeah.
And there's wallows and stuff. So we just kind of stayed in between. Okay. And they just kind of came up the trail, and they're feeding up the trail. And honestly, I don't even remember sneaking on them or anything. I remember just staying behind a tree, and they just kind of snuck, just feeding along to us.
Okay.
And yeah, shot them and ran 20 yards or so, or 30 yards, and aspired.
Celebrations.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is another little thing someone's told me, but I don't know if it's true or not. But you guys, obviously because of the family history, all the butchering, all that stuff, you got experience with that. So I'm guessing you butchered that animal yourself then, and went through the process breaking it down and everything with the pig and... Okay.
So yes, but remember, it's done differently. Like, what I saw is that, with the kill truck, we hung it, we skinned the whole thing on a gamble. So that part was easy. It's what we knew.
Yeah.
Bring the whole thing out. Don't leave anything behind.
Don't break it down.
Carry it all.
Carry the whole thing.
Yeah,
like
carry
a giant
the whole
handbag.
animal. Yeah. So we did that for God, many years. Then we're back in the mountains.
Yeah.
We shot a buck, 8-9 miles back. We're like, there got to be an easier way. Yeah. So then we started, my buddy broke them down and started quartering them. I'm like, all right, now we have something.
Okay.
For those hard ones. But yeah, different way, hanging them and have the spot to be able to hang them and field dress them.
Yes.
But definitely nice to be able to break them down completely.
Okay.
The shoulders off, the hinds off. We didn't do that, right? We dropped them off to the meat shop,
and they
completely whole.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and they broke them down.
They would do it for you because of the connections with the family.
Yeah. So gutting them and skinning them. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. But everything else was like you actually had to learn all that stuff.
Yeah, crazy, right?
That is wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to confess, I think I'm still in the phase that you were talking about where I'm not taking that many animals with the bow or anything really. And I hit that panic station button.
Yeah.
At least I did for the first few. And I'm like trying to carry a deer on my shoulders out like through riverbeds and all kinds of ridiculous terrain. And I'm sure I'll learn at some point. There is an easier way.
Yeah, there is. It's nice to get the whole thing if you can, keep it clean, of course.
With the skin on.
Oh, yeah.
Keep the pajamas on and then there's not as much dirt gets in.
Yeah, you can keep very clean and take all the meat that way, of course.
I mean, yeah. I'm sure when I get to a point where I'm far enough away, I think the furthest I've taken anything is probably 3 or 4 miles. And so then that's a bit of a mission, but it's not impossible. But like 9 or 10 miles, then I'm going to have a long, hard talk with myself. And
You figure it out.
just suck it up, I think, and pack it out.
Packing meat, yeah.
Okay, so the joy of editing, I can just pause right now and then just cut all this out.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a question for you, Adrienne.
Yes.
I mean, you've been bow hunting for over 20 years. What was it like being a female bow hunter or even just a female hunter like 20 years ago, plus years ago? Because, I mean, even now the culture is very male oriented. Do you have any kind of thoughts or memories?
I mean, I was just always kind of like part of the group. Like I know within our like personal, our close circle, nobody ever treated me any differently than any of the guys. It was just like I was just there. It's just part of it.
That's so good.
But there weren't a lot of female hunters then. I mean, I remember we watched Lee and Tiffany forever, and I was always like, it was called Getting Close back then. Now it's The Crush with Lee and Tiffany on the Outdoor Channel.
Okay.
And it was like the first like model for like a couple that hunted together that we saw, and it was like she just gets treated like one of the guys too. And I think I had like a similar experience where it was just, not treated like one of the guys. That's kind of a weird saying, but just like, there's no difference. We're all out here doing this together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it wasn't until like I really came in here that I was like, oh, okay, people will treat you differently if you're a woman.
Okay.
When I came into the shop, and it's almost like I've had several like situations where I almost felt like I had to prove myself to somebody, which is not my personality, and I don't like talking about myself or anything like that. But I every now and then it comes up while we're in the shop, but most of the time it's not even a thing.
Yeah, of course. But I can imagine it is a bit of a tricky thing, and you must just get a vibe like pretty quickly where you're like, oh, okay.
It's like, hey, that guy doesn't want to talk to me. Do you want to go answer the questions that I was about to answer for him?
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. That's so
funny. And it doesn't happen very often, but
I guess some people, I mean, it's often just a reflection of people's own insecurities, right?
Yeah,
where they're
it's
just
their
like
own
more
frame of
comfortable
reference.
talking with another guy or whatever. Or maybe they're just being a dick and they think that you don't know as much as everyone else when you clearly do.
Yeah.
But
I like to think they just have a different frame of reference and they don't have any experience with somebody like me who has maybe hunted longer than they have, but
yeah.
don't.
I mean, so you don't like to talk about it much, but I'm going to ask you now.
Okay.
So sorry.
No,
but
that's fine.
How many successful hunts do you think you've done? I mean, it's probably more than you know an actual number, but like you've been going for 20 something years.
I wouldn't even know where to start. So many. We've been on so many trips.
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
I honestly couldn't
I
even
haven't
tell
really
you.
counted
There
them.
comes
Like,
a
I
point
could
where you
tell
stop
you, like-
counting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, even our
Ye-
son is 14 years old, and he's probably taken 30 some odd animals with his bow.
Yeah, 35,
Like
37
we just,
animals.
it's what we do. We go on vacations and travel and hunt together, and it's constantly like, when's our next trip? What's our next thing we're doing? Whether it's around here or, out
Yeah.
of state or whatever.
I guess it's more not about how many animals you've taken. It's about, is the freezer full of meat at the moment? Do we need to get
Yeah,
more?
the freezer's always full.
The whole freezer's always full.
I guess that's never a problem.
No.
Never a problem.
But it's been cool doing different things lately. Like you hear of a lot of people who hunt a lot, but they're doing the same thing all the time. They're always mule deer hunting, always elk hunting. They're in different states that have like really cool opportunities for that. And we don't have that here. So in California, you have to travel around and go
Yeah.
different places to hunt different things. You don't get an elk tag every year.
No.
So it's kind of cool to be, hunt different species in different places. And
I mean, it's so amazing. I mean, I've barely scratched the surface in California. I mean, I've been very lucky, obviously, going over to South Africa and chasing
Yeah,
all kinds of
so
animals
lucky.
there. So I'm spoiled rotten there, and I'm well aware of it with my wife
Yeah.
being from South Africa. But yeah, I'm excited to explore a bunch more in California and Hawaii as well. I think that'll be so cool. But I've got a question, if I can remember what it was. So I've noticed this. I mean, I saw it and I felt it pretty quickly as soon as I bought a bow from you guys and saw the chats that you guys are having with people and like the strong connection you have with so many people here. There's clearly like a very amazing archery community in this area that you guys have created. So congrats. But also, did that exist beforehand? Was there like a bow hunting community? I mean, you said it was pretty early on when you started. Was there anyone to like look up to or get advice from or hang out with or go hunting with?
There was there's a handful of bow hunters around.
Okay.
But no really good shops.
Okay.
The shops were very, they go in business, they go out of business. They go in business, they go out of business.
Just over a
Like
period
every
of
shop
years.
they would go a few years and they'd be gone. So no real core to build a big archery community, right?
Yes.
To educate people,
Yeah.
help people, so they don't go through what I went through.
Yeah.
Why is just doing this? Just pulling your hair out, right? So yeah, there was archers definitely. They just went to the valley to go buy everything.
Okay.
They drove long ways to go get their stuff.
Well, forgive me, where is the valley? Just so
Like Sacramento,
okay, so
area,
that's a long way north
below
of
San
here, right?
Francisco. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even when we were still buying our first bows, it was like a store to go to. Like, we're calling around, who has this bow in stock, and it wasn't like, I'm going to go to the place where this person can make me the best that I can possibly be
Yeah.
at this. 'Cause it wasn't a thing. Like,
Yeah.
and actually to go back a little further, that's how we even started. Was he was kind of like the go-to, like, can you help me set this bow up? Because nobody had experience with different things. Nobody knew how to do things. You're just blindly guessing. And if you have one shot in a whole season at something, you want to make sure you
Yeah.
have the biggest advantage you can. So just like backtracking a little bit, he was the go-to guy. We ended up with a trailer that we would bring to 3D shoots where people would like say, hey, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that?
Can
I
you
don't
give
know.
this a look?
Can you help me sight this in? Help whatever. So we started with a trailer, and then it just became so busy that it was like, well, we should probably open a storefront. And then we opened a storefront for 3 hours a day while we were both working full-time jobs and had a small child at home.
Wow, really?
And then it was like, well, we better get a little bit bigger and get an indoor range too. So we moved across the street into a bigger spot. We're both still working full-time jobs, raising our son. And then, a couple years later, it was like, at some point, we just have to make this leap and just, forget what we were doing before, dive all into this and make this our home, really.
That must have been a daunting moment,
Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
a jump.
Yeah.
It was.
You leave your careers,
I was tired.
I
yeah,
bet.
your health.
Burn
It's
the
like,
candle on both ends
yeah.
for too long.
Did you actually feel after a while then you started to feel a bit more rested because you're not splitting your attention across like
Yeah.
a job and the shop. So
Yeah.
then you like turned your attention to be more fully shop.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Did you get like a bit of a spring in your step after
Yeah,
that?
well, you can remember everything that way. You can remember your conversations. You can remember, it's just way easier not working 2 full-time jobs, because I was working 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah. You're not
So-
like running on fumes the whole time.
Yeah, running on fumes.
And then you could spend, was able to spend more time with the family, and your mental health gets rejuvenated a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine that's super tough, right? You
Yeah.
making that choice, and it's a good choice. I mean, it's worked out. Like you guys are from an outside perspective, you're in a great spot.
But it's all along, it's been really important for us to make sure we have this community, because our primary job is helping people get better at this. Like that's what pro shops do. That's how we help people. And there's a lot of like confliction and competition within hunting for some reason. And if we could make a place that's just safe for everybody to come and ask questions, get advice on things. Hey, you want to go to a 3D shoot with me? This is how we bridge over into target archery. This is how you start learning about your bow and about how everything works. You're not relying on somebody else. It's like, that's to us is the best case scenario. And to have like a family in here where we're welcoming families in, we're welcoming the kids in, where, that's how like you keep the sport growing. So that's what our ultimate goal is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's working clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I saw it around in the store, but also when I went to you guys run an event, and we can talk about this, I guess now, or we can talk about it a bit later on. But the broadhead shoot that you guys run, and also the pack race, my personal favorite,
Yeah.
which is like a weekend event.
Yeah.
I went along to that thing, I think, just as a bit of a leap of faith, new to the whole archery world, but feeling like I'm in Fort Bragg. I don't really know many people who are bow hunters. Hunting in general can be a little bit closed off. Everyone obviously wants to keep all the things they know, the sweet spots they know for animals and stuff. And understandably, we work really hard for that knowledge and that information. So why would you go like handing it out like sweeties to everyone? You're not going to. But I'm glad that I did, because I met so many great people. I met you guys over there, and I remember Hans, we like only chatted for a little bit, but it was great to just hear a little bit about your story back then. Before I had any agendas with podcasts at that point, I will add, I wasn't in any way grooming or prepping. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad that I met you guys, and met so many great people already. So it's cool. It's a great thing. And I think as humans, right, like a sense of community is what we all, not everyone in the world, but a lot of people, that's part of the human experience. Sounds very lofty when I say it like that, but
you're totally right. Like there's so much negativity around hunting, and just it's when you have this sort of like group of people who support each other and make this like, oh, this is why we do this. This is like a kind of tribalism type thing. Like this is historically how people have done things, and that's what that whole like weekend is about. Is come out, like have some food with us. We're gonna cook a flip-flop. We're gonna shoot our bows. Like we all have the same mentality. It's just that's exactly why we do it.
What's a flip-flop?
So a flip-flop is our friend Andy. It's his family's recipe for the flip-flop marinade, but it's a style of cooking that's kind of a crowd pleasing. It's totally a crowd pleasing style.
It's like a bit of a show.
Yeah, it's a bit of a show. You take the whole hind quarter of a deer. This is typically how it's done with a deer.
Okay.
You cook it very hot. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yep.
Really hot. You use the special marinade with the rosemary brush.
Yep.
You cook it on one side for a few minutes, flip it over, slice that side off, serve it with a piece of French bread and butter.
Wow.
Cook the other side, flip it over, slice that piece off. It's
awesome.
been like deer camp food forever in like Marin and Sonoma County.
That's cool.
And then just he's been sharing it with everybody else.
It's like
so good.
It's almost like the original kebab.
Yeah.
You know, the way you do like
Yeah,
kebab, where you just
totally.
cook it and cut it off.
Just in different cultures. Yeah.
Just
exactly.
one that you just shot off an animal, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, I think I missed that when I came last time because I got there a little bit later. But I'm going to make a point of arriving earlier this time because I want to experience
Definitely.
the flip flop.
Yeah.
I want to have
awesome.
the flip flop experience. So, obviously we talked about it being hard at the beginning, like difficult juggling multiple jobs. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adrienne, you were still teaching for a while, longer, whilst you're kind of finding your feet a bit more with the business. But obviously you've got a kid as well. How did you manage to like get off and get some adventures going on at that point as well? Because you're clearly so adventurous and having like big hunting vacations in different places. Were you still able to get out there, or at least locally, like still, I mean, get meat in the freezer?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm just
Yeah, go ahead.
jumping out of you. Carter just always came with us. It's like we have one child, and we talked about this before. Like life is not going to stop because we have a child. We're going to have him experience all these things with us. And I think his first trip to Hawaii, he was like 10 months old or something like that.
Okay.
You hunted, I think. I didn't hunt.
Year.
I kind of sacrificed some hunting time when he was little, which was totally fine. And then we just decided like he's coming with us everywhere. Like he's hunting with us. And we were just talking about this because we were with our friend Mike, who's a guide over in Hawaii. And the first time we hunted with Mike, Carter was 5 years old. And we tried like the public land thing there, and we had no idea what we were doing. And we finally got a hold of him. Like, well, let's just call a guide and see if they have can show us like what to do here. So we called him, and he was like, I happen to have a cancellation tomorrow. You guys want to come? And we're like, yeah, we'll be there. What time? Where do we go? And I wrote him back and said, oh, by the way, our 5-year-old's with us. Is that okay? And he was like, there's a lot of walking, but if you're okay, I'm okay. Yeah. And he still tells people like, this is Carter with his little backpack on. We'd stop to glass for things, and he'd take out his little cars and play on the rocks with his cars and had all his snacks and stuff. He just was like, this is just what we did. He's used to it. And he was like on a plane all the time. We took him to Texas.
Quiet. He'd never said anything. Just super quiet.
Oh,
he
really?
Just observes everything.
Yeah.
You didn't have any hunts like busted?
No.
Never.
No.
Like, no. He just like, I don't know, knew what to do. But it's so important to take your kids out, but it's a lot of sacrifice too. Yeah. You have to be in a spot where you're willing to sacrifice this whole hunt. Like everything could go bad and expect it to go bad. But it's worth it because you have to have your kids have that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I'll just pick up after this. But it seems like, I mean, I'm seeing things on Instagram and stuff getting posted. Like, Carter seems like he's having an absolute ball. Like in Hawaii. And
he should be. I don't think he knows how lucky he is. I mean, I think now he's getting a little older. Now I think he's realizing
how lucky
his friends don't get to do all this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like some of the footage that you guys have, he's there taking like stone cold, like perfect 45-yard shots on animals. Yeah. I mean, that takes a lot of maturity, I think, to take a shot like that.
Yeah. He's always, with the bow, he's just been a dead eye, man. I mean, he practices a little bit to get his tape on. Okay. Once he gets his marks on, he just shoots the center and go, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, he's not that kid that's out there just shooting his bow all the time. He's like, oh, I'm good.
He's just comfortable.
He goes shoot 3D with them when they go out and shoot 3D. Yeah. But he likes the action. He likes to walk, shoot the 3Ds. Unlike shoot the shoot paper, it's kind of boring.
Yeah, just the same thing again and again.
Yeah, he's not really too into that. But yeah, the animals, I mean, I don't even know what we did to him.
The kid's been doing 3D shoots since he was like 6 weeks old.
Yeah.
We used to have him in a stroller, and we'd go around to one target. Hey, Carter, or when he got older, Carter, you want to shoot this one? When he was like 4. Okay, yeah, I'd jump out, shoot that animal, get back in the stroller. All right, go to the next target.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So he's just doing what he's always done.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing what he's always
So why
done.
would it be any different?
Yeah.
It's just what he does.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I mean, I can only imagine if you had that kind of, that's your consistent background the whole time. Mm-hmm. Then, yeah, I mean,
consistency with him.
Mm-hmm.
Just on the hunting side, 45 yards. I'm all, you got it. He's all, yeah, no problem.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, no big deal.
Moves his dial. Good.
Sets to 45. As long as I give him the right yardage, there'll be no.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
No problem.
I mean, I've had a few moments taking shots like that, but definitely I think I'm maybe aware what I've learned over many years is my emotions go up and down.
Yeah, it's different for adults.
Yeah.
So my emotions are going up and down. It could be a good day where I'm comfortable. I think I took a 53-yard shot on a warthog while I was in South Africa, and quartering away. But in the moment, you're like, I'm comfortable. This is good. This is what I've practiced for.
Yeah.
But there are also times when it's like a 21-yard shot, and I don't know, just not feeling it that day. And there's times like, should I take this shot? I don't know. It doesn't feel like a good time. So I guess learning to listen. But it sounds amazing if he's just always stone cold,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's only had a couple blacktail hunts, which are a lot more high stakes than, I hate to use that word high stakes, but the places he goes is in Hawaii and Texas and stuff have been very target rich.
Exactly.
Where it kind of calms you a little bit.
You're like,
these are everywhere. It's not
yeah.
oh, I see one in this whole season and I better make this shot, so.
Yeah.
Kind of helped him
it's
build
true.
up to that.
It's a very good point, because it is a high pressure moment when it's this is probably the only chance I'm going to get this whole season. I've got to make this count.
Yeah.
Were you ever worried that he wouldn't be into the same stuff as you? Because you can't make your kids be like you.
Yeah.
I was never worried.
Yeah, not worried about it. If he wants to do it, he can. If not,
then it's all good.
It's fine. Yeah.
You just thought, all right, well, you're coming along, so
yeah,
you better enjoy yourself.
He likes getting up and doing it. Certain things, he likes hunting turkeys.
Yeah.
You'll wake up before you do for turkeys.
Really?
Yeah, for turkeys, right?
That's funny.
He just loves the whole calling them in and the whole show, and he gets, I don't know if he gets excited. He obviously does.
Yeah.
But he likes that the most out of everything.
Has he tried elk hunting yet?
He's getting points everywhere.
Oh, okay. You're doing the work. You're doing the work early.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I'm sure he'll get a good tag before I do. You know it.
Now, Adrienne, you took an elk this year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you both had amazing. I'd love to talk a bit, hear some stories about what you've been up to this whole last, I guess, calendar year.
Yeah.
I was scrolling a bit through your West Coast Archery Instagram, seeing some pictures of successful hunts that you guys have had. But that elk hunt, was that, you taken elk before, or was that the first one with a bow?
No, that was my first elk.
Okay.
Period.
Amazing.
Yeah.
First elk hunt.
Yeah, first elk hunt. Since I've always been teaching, I don't put in for these fall hunts normally.
Okay.
So 2021 was my first year not teaching. And I had all these points. I've just been building points.
Putting them in the bank.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then now I'm
okay,
years. Now we're cashing these suckers in. But my elk hunt was in New Mexico, where they don't do points. It was just a random draw.
Oh, okay.
I was
I'm making a note for that. For
later. Yeah. I was one of maybe 2 non-resident tags.
Yeah, something crazy.
Okay, so you lucked out. Even though you've got a ton of points everywhere, you still managed to get this lucky draw.
And I think we even had a conversation, he was going to draw Colorado and go with Joe. And I said, why are we even putting in for New Mexico? If somebody draws this, it's going to ruin your hunt. And Joe was like, no, if somebody draws New Mexico, that trumps everything. So then we got our drawings back, and I drew New Mexico.
And I drew Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they had to get, get their points back. And the focus was on my elk hunt, which was so cool. It was just, it was the first season in New Mexico. So it was hot. It was September 1st through the 14th, I think was the season dates.
Yeah.
And I didn't kill my elk till the 11th. So it had been every single day, hiking up and down the mountain several times.
Okay. So you stood, base camp was at the bottom and you had to go up.
Yeah. No, we pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went from one end of the unit to the other end of the unit, trying to find the elk. And just, we thought we found them, and we're like, okay, at the 6th, 7th day, I'm like, we just got to concentrate on this mountain. Let's stop hunting other places I know are good. There's probably elk, but they're here.
Yes.
I know they're here. So we just kept grinding up the mountain, up, down the mountain, and eventually paid off.
Yeah, it was hot. Nothing was bugling.
Yeah.
Really?
So like
No
all the
bugles.
research we've done on like talking to people and listening to podcasts and stuff on elk hunting, none of that applied because it was
Yeah.
like nothing was talking. But then one day it was like the day before the 10th or whatever, it had started raining. And we were like just sitting there like, oh man, it's raining. And then we were like, this is changing things for sure. And the second it kind of dwindled down a little bit, we're like, let's go. So we just like put on our packs and hiked up the hill, and definitely the behavior changed. Then we started seeing some bulls. Well, the one I shot was only the second mature bull we had seen the whole time
Wow. Okay.
in an area that's really well known for not having super big bulls, but a lot of activity.
Yeah.
And then when we were kind of sitting on a ridge and saw him come out in a clearing, we saw the other elk looking back, and he came out, and he was like, drop your pack, let's go. So we like ran to the bottom of the hill, dropped our packs, and we were like, we know how to do this at this point. We know how to spot and stalk stuff because nothing's coming to calls or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just snuck up the hill, like poked out of the brush. It was like, how far was he? 63 yards.
Yeah.
And I just felt comfortable. Like I had a really solid, footing, felt good with my shot, and I shot him.
At 63.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
350 grain arrow went all the way through him.
350.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was so cool. It was just
Yeah.
like the coolest, when you put in that much time and that much effort, and you've been thinking about this for like so much mental effort too. And then to like see him on the ground was just like the most amazing experience.
Was it a quick recovery as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we let him set overnight.
It was like the last light.
It was, so when we saw him across the canyon,
Yeah.
I'm like, I think we can make it over there.
Okay, you're like,
Like
we
we
hustle.
have to bust. I mean, we have to run. We're going to be tripping and falling over rocks. So we ran down and ran hard as we could. Either that we're going to break them or we're going to get an opportunity.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's kind of elk scattered all around there. We're crawling in the pine trees. The pine trees were right on the ground, like they're young ones. So we're crawling in between them all,
Really?
and we're just being very aggressive.
It's like
And the
make
wind
or
was
break,
right.
make or break moment.
Yeah, but the wind
Gotta
was
do
right.
it.
It's just now we're getting in between cows, right? So,
Yes.
but it was that or nothing.
You could
like,
blow something out at any moment.
yeah, yeah,
That's what
But-
he said too. He's all, either this is going to be terrible or it's going to work, but
Or
we're
it's going
going
to be
for it.
amazing.
yeah. And time, we had to make time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, everything worked out, and yeah, crazy, super exciting.
So good. Was it a sleepless night waiting to try and recover
Oh,
in
yeah.
the morning?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were
Totally.
there first thing.
We kind of knew where he was, but
yeah,
we
we-
just didn't want to blow him out and have him
Yeah.
run. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
go miles up the mountain or wherever.
Yeah. But yeah, we got off in the morning, start walking up the trail. We haven't seen anybody else up there.
Okay.
And we see lights going up the mountain. We're like,
and we were so early. It was
yeah,
like
way earlier than we were.
This is
any
the
other-
next morning
This
after
is the next morning.
after taking a
Yeah.
shot. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'll see if I can catch up with these guys. Let them know, hey, we got a bull
There's
down
something
over
going
here.
on, yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to, get a front of you or anything. I'm just,
Yes.
we're going over there and recovering the bull, and let them know they can keep hunting wherever,
Yeah.
or whatever. And I start getting closer to them, and they see my lights, and they start running.
public land.
Public land, man. Start running. I'm like, well, okay. Yeah, they just booked. They just start
so
running
funny.
up the mountain.
So what? Okay, I didn't even follow why you were saying that, but so they were running because
they thought we were
they
trying to get
thought
ahead
you were
of
trying
them,
to
right?
get ahead, and they're like, "No, screw these
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just blow up this whole area and run through,
yeah,
Pretty much.
so I can get to the scared elk
yeah,
first."
yeah.
So you didn't find it. Like obviously they were like, "All right, bye."
Yeah, well, we just cut off the hill and
Yeah, we
headed to right where we need to go,
Okay.
So,
And it was so then you got there. I guessing first light kind of time.
Yeah.
You were tracking some blood. There was the blood good?
yeah, decent blood, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
We could see him from where we left him
yeah.
the night before.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome, man.
It was so
Perfect.
cool.
Celebrations.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Very exciting.
So that must have been, that's like 20 years of, I mean, it's a long time not getting the chance to chase elk, I guess, because of teaching and various other things. So
Yeah.
that must have been epic. Because it's kind of held up, isn't it? Like hunting elk with a bow.
Oh yeah. But now we're like, oh yeah, this is why people do this every year. This is so cool.
So you'll be back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Trying to.
Got to get those.
Do what we can.
Get those points again, I guess.
Yeah, it's just luck, of drawing it.
So Hans, I've got a question for you because I saw like one particular picture showed up in your feed from this last year. It was actually just about a year ago. I think you're in New Zealand and you shot this absolute monster. I don't even know what it was that I was looking at. It's an absolute freak.
Yeah. No, that was cool.
Was that a red stag? What was that?
Yeah, it was red stag, New Zealand.
Okay. Well, if you go to West Coast Archery Shop and scroll down, you'll know the one.
Yeah.
When you find it. But tell me that story, please.
So what year did we buy that hunt?
20. It was like January of 2020, right before
before COVID. And it got pushed off until last year, right?
So like 3 years or so.
Yeah. So we're like we're so busy in the shop. We're like, I can't leave, just push it off another year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got pushed off an extra year, and last year we ended up going, and God, what a cool experience that was.
Yeah.
So Adrienne hunted first. Okay. So she got a good red stag and a fallow deer. I'll kind of let her tell you that. And then I had, I think, 3 more days of hunting. And we hunted, and I don't know, they all look big.
Yeah.
We have a guide, Gerald with us, a guide, which was awesome. We're at full draw, and these elk are coming down these creek bottoms, and I'm looking at him, and he's shaking his head no, and I'm like, why? Why no? Why don't we?
Huge.
It's not big enough. I'm like, really? Not big enough. He's all, no. He's all, if we can find, there's a couple big ones in here that we can take, with no upgrades.
Okay.
Costs.
Yeah.
He's all, I want a bow hunter to shoot that. I'm like, really? So we hunted that day.
Dream situation.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. We're seeing these just crazy stags, right? We hunt one day, nothing. We hunt the second day. I shot a Sika deer.
Okay.
Pretty big Sika deer. You kind of just run across them, and luckily got close enough with the bow to be able to take them, right?
Yeah.
And that was on my list for sure. One of the high things on my list. And then I'm like, now we're working on the last day. And we see this, that we finally see one that we can, that he has in mind. And I'm like, okay. So we try to get on him, and he slips away. He's with a few other ones. They're roaring. They're making noise. They're fighting. They're doing everything.
Yeah.
Try to get on him. He slips away from us in the brush. Keep hunting. Now we're into the evening. Last day. And pouring down rain. We see him sitting out in the middle of an opening.
Yeah.
By himself. And there's one stump about 70 yards from him, sitting out there. But everything else also open around
Just
him.
Completely open.
Like 100-yard circle around him, besides that stump.
Classic.
And now we have 2 hours of light. Right?
Yeah.
So I got the stump in line with us. The wind was right. And I just crawled into the stump. Took me, I don't know, an hour or so. Then I waited behind that stump until he stood.
Oh.
Which at that time, looked closer than it was, but it was still 70 yards.
Yeah.
And when he stood, I don't even know how long. It felt like forever because it was just pouring down rain.
Oh, it was raining at this point.
Pouring down rain.
Wow.
Like I'm trying to, my strings, I know my strings heavier, like everything's just soaking wet.
You're trying to keep it like.
Yeah, shooting that far.
Yeah, it's going to make a difference.
Like knocking my bow against my foot to try and knock all the water off the string.
Yeah.
And there was enough wax on the string. I think it would be fine, but it just looked like a lot of weight. I was kind of concerned about it. Wiping off my arrow,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And when he stood, everything was good. I shot, and yeah, that was it.
Did you aim high?
No,
You just aimed on.
I aimed on. Well, I'm shooting a slider sight, so
okay.
I think I put at 70 yards, if I remember correctly. I put at 70 yards and aimed for where you're supposed to hit him. Hit him a little bit above where I was supposed to hit him, but it was good.
That's epic.
It was enough, yeah.
And
but yeah, it was super. the time was just closing in on me.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I felt, as a bow hunter, I just felt pressured. I don't, that pressure, I didn't want that pressure.
No.
But it was awesome. It worked out. Because at that point, I didn't have enough time to even go hunt another stag.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was at the
That's
pinch
it.
point.
This is it. Don't mess it
Flight
up.
leaves next day.
Yeah.
Right. So, no, it was pretty exciting.
I can imagine.
Yeah. What a beast on the ground.
No, I mean, when you walked up to the thing, was it as big as you imagined, or?
I didn't see all the crowning on top.
Yeah.
I was just I try not to focus on the horns too much. I'm just doing what he told me. I just trying to keep a focus because I know if I start to focus on horn, I get all excited, right?
Yeah, you're gonna get giddy.
Yeah. So I just kind of focused on the body. I know it's crazy, but
Yeah.
I knew, that's a hunt that if we do it one more time, we'll be lucky.
Yeah.
So it was, pretty exciting. It definitely didn't shrink.
No.
When we walked up to it.
Especially with that added pressure as well. If your outfitter is like, no, this one's for you.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. Yeah, they wanted him taken off.
Yeah.
He's old. He probably should have been shot during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. You're happy to assist.
Yeah.
That's what they said too. If he got hurt or something, he probably wouldn't make it through the winter. So they wanted.
Yeah.
He was I don't know how old he was. I don't know how big he was, inches wise.
Bit of a management situation.
But he's just so cool. Such a different looking stag.
Yeah.
But they're all unique,
wow. Congrats, man.
Yeah.
So, did you bring back the head and things like?
Yeah. So we got all the stuff back in maybe July.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very quickly.
And then it's at a taxidermist now. So
okay, so it's going to be I'm guessing it's going to be on the wall here in the shop at some point soon.
Yep.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, really exciting.
That's pretty awesome.
Well, if anyone's listening and they want to check it out, they can go to West Coast Archery Shop and and see it at some point in the next few months. I'm guessing. I don't know how long taxidermy takes here, but
probably another 6 months.
Probably 6 months time. Okay.
Yeah.
So there were also some hunts, Adrienne, that you got done that trip as well. You mentioned Hans.
That trip, yeah.
You like, I think I seen some footage of you shooting a few things then, right? Well, what was the most memorable one?
I mean, it was all just so crazy. I don't know, the stag was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of like he said, we had seen other stags. Actually, when we were stalking on my fallow deer, we saw the stag through the bushes, just like roaring from the other side of this creek. And I was like, oh my God, that thing's so cool. And our guide was like, no, that's like a bronze. You're not. And I was like, that thing looks like a monster to me. It was like so awesome. But then when we came across my stag, I think he was bedded when we first came across him. And Gerald, our guide, was like, this one, you need to shoot this one. And he was like 35 yards away, and we just snuck up. We snuck up to 35 yards, and we just waited for him to get up. And luckily Gerald, our guide, is a bow hunter, so he like understands when to draw your bow and when not to.
That's handy, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. So he stood up, and I drew my bow back right as he stood up, and he just stared at us. He was like quartering to us, staring at us.
So he clocked that draw
and I'm
back
just
at
drawn
that
back.
Yeah.
And Gerald's like, don't let down, hold it. And I'm just like, at
5
this
minutes.
point, no, it was literally like 2 minutes. It was so long.
That's long.
Yeah.
And at one point I was like, I just need to take a few deep breaths and get through this, because this is like, I can't let down right now,
Yeah.
So, and Gerald was right next to me, and I'm like, he's like, if you have a shot, shoot him. It's got to be in the perfect spot. And I'm like, I got him. Like, I think I've got this perfect spot right here. And he's like, I trust you, do it. And I shot him, and it was like, like he said, like a 350 grain arrow. I shot him right in like the soft spot in his shoulder, pretty much.
Shoulder, yeah.
And it, like, how far in did my arrow go?
About halfway.
Yeah, about halfway.
About halfway.
He ran and died about 70 yards away from us, which was so cool to see him.
Yeah.
Like die right there,
It's like.
And I was like, oh my God, thank God I was like able to shoot it in the right spot and make that happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, really awesome.
It's definitely like a special moment. I mean, to be able to get close enough to take any animal with a bow is always amazing. I can say from personal experience, but like seeing them drop in like eye line, like that you see them go and you don't have any of that anguish of like tracking and hoping and wondering, because that is nothing like that, is there? That moment when you're like, oh, I feel like it was a good shot, but like I can't see the animal right now.
Yeah.
It's so nice to avoid that whole
that whole thing, right?
That whole thing. Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing those stories from this year. I'm sure you're going to have some more good hunts coming up for this year, I bet. But I'd love to, at some point, get you back on to hear some more hunting stories. But it sounds like I'm winding up. I've got a couple more questions for you, if that's all right, if we've got time.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, cool. I got this little section here, which is like the second section.
Send it.
So I got a few things which I'm calling like pro shop questions. I got a few different areas that I'd love to pick your brains about. One general area I've got is like a couple of quick shop questions. So obviously a pro shop, it's clear that that's going to make a big difference. It made a huge difference to me personally, getting a bow that actually fits me properly, because I've got crazy long like monkey arms. And so my draw length is like 33 inches, which is, I hear, not very common. But unfortunately, the bow shop before that didn't want to tell me the truth about a correct fitting bow and wanted to sell me like one with a 31 inch draw or like a 32 inch draw. So I went through 2 bows before anyone actually gave me the hard talk of being like, you need to actually have a bow that fits you properly. And it was light and day. You guys sell some really nice gear, but you have a whole range. Like a question I kind of have, which I think is probably in a lot of people's minds, if they're thinking about getting into bow hunting or archery, do you need loads of cash? Is there a way to do it on a lower budget?
At your draw length?
Yeah.
Not necessarily at my draw leg.
Yeah, your draw length, not so much. But yeah, there's definitely ways you can do it. I think there's certain bows that meet the expectations. Keep it simpler. Like, usually like the Hoyt Torix, very good. Up to you can shoot that bow up to 30 inches.
Okay.
Usually guys at 29 is where because it's a shorter axle bow.
Okay. So
at 29 inches, that's good for that. At 30-inch guy, you should probably be shooting a little bit longer frame bow.
Okay.
So PSE makes a few longer frame bows in the $700 mark. But what you really want is tunability.
Okay.
We need to be able to tune the bow, the shim, the top and bottom cam, for your broadheads, right? So that's what I would stress the most in buying a bow, is how well can your pro shop or yourself tune that bow to make that arrow fly proper for what you're doing.
Okay. So you can get away with more with a better people who know what they're doing.
Well, yeah, you're shooting the Atlas, right?
I am, yes.
So we have
pretty big bow.
Yeah, big bows. But we have shims that we can move the top cam left to right, the bottom cam left to right.
Okay.
So we could pretty much fit anybody's hand and make you shoot a perfect bullet hole, bear shaft it, get that combination so we can get it perfect.
Yeah.
It's just a lot easier at the end of the day.
Yes. You've got more tools at your disposal to make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, that's important.
And that's all part of getting it like set up at a pro shop also. Like there are lots of, price point bows out there, but we carry like a couple that we think people will have the most success with,
Yeah.
that we can actually help them out and make them help them get better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a question. You guys have got a lot of experience shooting bows, hunting with bows, equipment, archery gear. Is there anything that springs to mind that you wish that you guys had known early on? Say you just like getting used to archery stuff. What is like something or things that are like really good info to know about your gear, or what's important things to have, or important stuff to like just things that need your attention and time and potentially money, and things that are less important? Because people pour a lot of time and money into some things that aren't maybe as important. What do you think is the stuff that should come first?
I'd say the most, in my opinion, It'd be frame of the bow.
Okay, interesting.
Buy much frame as your budget will allow. I mean, we can build off of that.
Okay.
Like, build everything else very basic to keep our dollars down.
Yeah.
Then why you get better and why, time goes on, we could put a good drop way on it, put a better sight on it.
Yes.
But the first thing I would do is drop way. So, in my opinion, that's the way I build guys' bows. That's super important to me. Frame. Much frame as possible.
Why is the frame important?
So we can tune them.
Okay.
So when you come back and we, get stronger, your grip changes, we need to help you with your grip, or we need to shim the bow a little differently if you have broadhead issues. So I need to be able to, it's just easier to be able to make that bow fit you sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you get the efficiency out of a bow of that nature too.
Okay.
Usually. So you get a lot of perks off of that higher end frame,
When you say efficiency, what does that mean?
How fast the bow's going, basically.
Okay.
Speed is everything.
How many feet per second for your pounds that you're pulling?
Yeah. Like on a female side, I would like to see the most efficient possible because they don't have the draw length.
Yeah.
At 25, I'm just going to say 25 inches, but at 25-inch draw length, that arrow's not going very fast.
Yeah.
And on the kids' side too, on the hunting side, efficiency's everything. Accuracy too. It'll all kind of come along because when she's off 2 yards, she's off a lot.
Okay, like 2 yards in distance immediately because the arrow's going slower. It's kind of the same with heavy arrows,
yeah, your
right?
kinetic energy
big
is a
drop
lot
off.
less.
So on the short draw length, it's just the speed is important.
Yes.
So I lean on speed with the shorter draw length.
Okay.
And cut on contact, really sharp broadhead, but
it's going to go through.
It has no problem going through.
Yeah, as we've heard in your stories.
Yeah, single bevel.
And that's all like kind of on our side for things we know, but I think like a big thing that I think people don't pay attention to before they come into a pro shop is like arrow selection.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I mean, there's like, this is like, you could go down a whole rabbit hole about arrow selection, obviously.
Yeah.
But just like the amount of just misconception about arrows and what an arrow spine, like what's the difference in arrow spines and how long or short. There's just so many variables that I think, we see people come in with those Amazon arrows sometimes that are like fiberglass and they're not even it's like they're not even rated for anything, and people are like, oh, but it's a carbon arrow, it's fine, right? It's like there's no education around that until you come to a place that
how would
can
you know?
give you that education.
How would you know? It's like, oh, any arrow is just the same. I bought these cheap ones. It's fine. I'm definitely not going to give myself a major hand injury if this thing blows up.
Or like when you're hunting, you like owe it to the animal to be have the best stuff you can have and shoot it as well as you possibly can.
Yeah, you don't want it to go wrong because of some corners being cut.
Right.
I guess that's the thing, right? Mm-hmm. So, Hans, you touched a little bit on setting up bows for women. That's actually kind of one of the areas that I wanted to talk a little bit about, female bow hunting, archery. Adrienne, do you have any advice at all for female archers or bow hunters, experienced or novice? I guess probably novice is probably more of the easier thing to go into, but like anyone getting into or who is curious about getting into bow hunting or archery, anything that springs to mind?
Yeah, I would say like your biggest asset would be to find your place where you can ask questions, where people can actually answer your questions, whether it's sending us a message on Instagram or coming into like a shop. We were talking about, I'd say like 95% of women who come in here with a bow already set up, it's not the best thing for them. Not that the bow's not the best thing for them, but that it's like there's corners cut because it's like, I don't know if my wife's going to really like this, so I'm not going to spend a bunch of money. I totally get that argument, but sometimes it's like, it's your husband's arrows that he just cut down for you that are way too heavy for you.
And then suddenly way stiffer because you cut them down.
And now
Yeah.
you hate it because you can't hit where you're aiming. And how is anybody ever going to like this and get into this? I mean, there's just, and you don't have to shoot a kid's bow because you have a shorter draw length. You know, I mean, there are definitely things that will help you like the sport and like to get into it. And really until you work with females or like people with shorter draw lengths, less kinetic energy, until you work with them, you don't know what you don't know. And it seems like I'll just pick out some different kind of things for this person. But yeah, we have a lot of experience with that, and there are a lot of lessons we've learned with that. So I would say like find your trusted source and ask questions for with people who do this.
Yeah.
Who have this experience.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Makes absolute sense. So I'd love to talk a little bit about like women's archery community. I mean, you guys have created a whole community. I'm guessing women is a big part of that, like women hunters and women archers. Is that?
I know there are groups that do stuff like that, which is super cool. And I think it's important to like be part of that community and keep you motivated. It's easy to get bogged down with like, I don't know, just like the one-upping stories from other people and like going to the range and people not women telling you like, oh, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And we hear these stories all the time about, oh, this guy at the range was telling me I'm doing this wrong and it's just, it's easy to get bogged down with that stuff. So I think it is, although we haven't really done like an all women's hunt or anything like that. I think it's, if you can get into something like that, it's super important to support each other and just, have those relationships.
You're also part of, and this is a little piece of outside info I got. We'll see if we're right. But like, are you part of is it the Sonoma County Bowmen?
Yeah.
Is that, so you're on the board? Is that
Yeah.
right?
We're both on the board.
Okay.
For
You're
Sonoma
both
County
on the
Bowmen.
board.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm guessing you're immediately adding like a female perspective then to everything.
The president of the board is a female.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. And she, everything's very family friendly. And this is kind of like, all we know is this club is very family friendly. They're very like women, children, everybody's welcome, every type of archery, everything. So we're really lucky in that respect. Yeah. It's not like that everywhere. So okay. If we can do our part to keep the people around here feeling comfortable and be a safe place for them, then that's what we do. Perfect.
I've got one more question. And this is a curiosity question for me really about female perspective. Is there any like strengthening stuff that you do or anything like that, or anything that you've done in the past to help with that? Just shooting your bow as much as you can. Okay. Just getting the reps. Yeah. Although you're going to the gym or you're doing all that stuff, there's hardly any like exercise that's going to replace just shooting your bow. Yeah. I guess on a side note, there is one thing that I personally experienced works really well. There's a previous guest of the show, Dr. Preston Ward, and this is a shout out for everyone. Yeah. and to Preston, a really good place to, if you're having some issues, some niggles. I mean, I often find if I start ramping up my reps and things, it's small stuff at first, but then it can become worse and worse. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to take time off because I'm going to be wrecked for the season or whatever it is. But he's really good. He's remote. Check him out, Mountain Physio. Yeah, I've seen him. And he's given me like a lot of exercises to do using like these funny physiology rubber bandy kind of, I'm gyrating weirdly with my shoulders right now if you can't see. But that kind of stuff has really helped me. And getting the reps in for sure, because it's like use it or lose it, right? Yeah. And I guess like I was referring to like building up weight, like draw weight, which is what a lot of women kind of struggle with, is starting at a really low weight and building up. Is just like just shooting your bow as much as possible is going to be the fastest way to get to that. Yes. But Rudy's a coach. He uses bands all the time with people. We sell them in here. That's a really good way to just like keep your strength. Yeah, just weirdly, I don't know how. It's not as hard as drawing a bow, but it just does something with those muscles that really helps. Yep. Okay. I've got one more little area that I'd love to ask you about, if that's all right, because it's something which I don't know much about. And I wonder, I'm guessing anyone who's thinking about using an outfitting service, it's a big thing, at least psychologically, I'm imagining, because you're going to be sinking quite a big chunk of money into a trip, which you're, I guess, hoping is going to be an amazing trip that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. So you want to make the right choices. You guys have got a lot of experience working with people who are guides, outfitters. I guess I'd love to just pick your brains about how do you choose the good ones? How do you make the right choices? You know, what are there any things which are like processes that you have when you're trying to figure it out?
We try to talk to somebody that's hunted with them.
Yeah, referrals.
Okay.
A referral.
Okay.
Like, as a bow hunter, most of those guys are rifle hunters.
Yes.
So you want to try to get one that is with you that's bow hunting. Get you in bow range, right? If it's mule deer, elk, I think whatever. If you're going to be bow hunting, I would ask some questions about if your guy's a bow hunter. Because then he'll know what you need to be able to do, or how close you need to be able to. Because I've been on hunts that they're rifle hunters, and they have no idea. Which is, for us, it's fine because we kind of know the next step.
Yes, yeah.
But as somebody new that needs a little bit more help or guidance around the terrain or whatever, those guys can get it done for you. Can help you a lot. So make sure that they bow hunt, or you talk to somebody that's hunted with them.
Yes.
Referral.
Okay.
A couple of them, if you can.
Yeah.
It's because you spend more doesn't mean it's better.
Mm-hmm.
And the hunt, and I know they're getting, they're just getting expensive in general. So, yeah, do some homework. Make sure you talk to somebody that's hunted with them the last couple of years, and with the outfitter you're actually going to be with. The guy you're talking to might not be even the guy you're hunting with.
Mm-hmm.
So figuring out those details.
Yeah, and ask.
Yeah, having a conversation.
And, having good conversations.
Yeah. I can imagine being English and, shying away from anything vaguely resembling confrontation.
Yeah.
Asking some of those direct questions is maybe a little bit daunting, but definitely a necessary thing if you're spending your money on it, right?
Yeah. Like just having a regular conversation tells you a lot about who they are. And, I kind of experienced this before my elk hunt a little bit. We didn't use an outfitter, but I talked to a couple of them because everything was on the table once I knew that I drew that tag. Yeah. And one of the conversations I had was like, "Oh, cool, you got the tag. Have you ever killed anything with a bow before?" I said to him, like, "Do you ask your male clients that?" You probably don't, because I was just like instantly offended. I'm like, we're not going with them.
Of course.
So
I mean, it's like instant patronizing.
Right,
What's it going to be like when you're on the side of a mountain?
Totally. Yeah. So, just having conversations, you find out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds annoying.
Yeah. It can be. And you just figure that out. You spend your hard-earned money with the best person you can.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, like a human interaction is going to give you a pretty good clue straight away.
Yeah.
So that's like maybe a not so positive experience. Have you guys had, can you think of like a really positive experience you had where you just pulled it like the first time with an outfitter?
All of them, really.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them. I mean, most of them.
Okay.
Yeah. New Zealand was awesome. Gerald was so cool.
Yeah, Gerald was a bow guide. That's what he does.
Awesome.
That's what he does. Jam. That's what he, when he had his ranch, that's what he did. Just only bow, and you can tell, like he got you close.
He knows how to do it.
Because we knew somebody else that went there. They, that had a different guide.
Yeah,
it wasn't the same experience.
What's the name of the outfitter that was Gerald? Do you know? I
don't know if you can say.
He is Wild Side Hunting, New Zealand. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Make sure you get Gerald.
You can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
There's a top tip for people if they want to go hunt in New Zealand.
Awesome.
We haven't really hunted with a ton of outfitters, so.
No.
I mean, Gerald, we have, friends who are outfitters in Hawaii.
Yeah. Which they were, he's a bow hunter.
Yeah, he's a bow hunter.
Like that's what they do there.
Yeah.
So for us going there, like shooting stuff with the bow was just what they do too. Yeah. So it was very easy. Mm-hmm. So really good experiences on our end.
That's good.
With outfitters.
Yeah.
Pig hunting, some just to get access, right? Some outfitters. Mm-hmm. You just got to make sure you tell them you're bow hunting, and they'll send you with the right guy.
Okay. So it sounds like you guys are like a wealth of knowledge. You've got a lot of experience with these guys, but I'm guessing if people want to pick your brains, would that be okay? They can give you a call at some point and ask if they're thinking about setting up a hunt with an outfitter.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
put you on the spot now.
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. We'd rather people have a good time and
Yeah.
be successful.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay, awesome.
And those guides are good with bow hunting.
Yes.
It's important.
You know, some aren't.
Yeah.
Some will say, no, we're good, which is fine too.
If you're going abroad, getting your equipment there, you can't easily just rock up and shoot someone else's bow. It's got to get set up to you, right? So it needs to be your gear and it needs to get there. So if you've got any experience around that stuff and advice, that would be good. And then also if you do get on a hunt and you come back and you've suddenly, you get an animal down, huzzah, great, good stuff. Getting the meat back, that's a whole other thing as well. So there's a lot of questions, but I guess first of all, getting your gear that you spend so much time practicing with over there safely. Any tips, any advice?
Make sure it's a travel case for airplanes.
Okay.
So we
Not a
use the
soft case.
SKB I-Series cases.
Okay.
Make sure it's made for, an airplane. They're not going to chip a corner off of it, going, getting ran over.
Yeah.
Or whatever there. They do. They get ran over. I've seen guys bring cases in here that weren't flying cases, and I don't know how they exploded like that.
Really?
They must have got ran over by one of the trolleys or whatever, right? Completely grenaded the whole top, and they just taped it with clear tape to hold everything together. The bows were fine.
Oh, they
but
were?
both cases looked like they were ran over.
Crazy.
And that was the Hunter Series SKB, which is still a pretty good case. Like, it's just not a flying case, right? So I-Series case of some sort, something that's made to fly with. And we use the Sitka traveling bag.
The Nomad. Yeah.
The Nomad traveling bag that we put all our arrow tube, remember, there's 3 of us a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all our arrow tubes, all our shoes,
Yeah.
just all our oversized stuff goes in there.
Okay.
And then I bring scales, obviously, because I'm constantly weighing things.
Yeah, we do too.
So, the game. So it's, so we weigh those and make sure we're, a little under 50.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a couple more big suitcases too that we bring. And on the way back, it's ice chests and suitcases, right?
And what kind of ice chest do you use? Do you use a solid chest or is it like a
Foam.
fabric one?
No, it's just we buy usually they're either blue or this year they're
like standard
red.
run of the mill.
Yeah, just a cheap.
The one behind you right there.
Oh yeah.
It's like $30.
It's like an igloo.
Cool.
$30
Yeah.
cheap ice chest.
Hardware store kind of thing.
No drain plug on them.
No drain plug.
So we freeze the meat in the condos or wherever we're staying.
Yeah.
Because I break down just meat when I bring it back.
Yeah.
So I'll load the freezer up completely. I'll pull all the shelving out of it, load it up completely, and if I have more, which has happened, then I'll start putting it in the refrigerator in Ziplocs.
Yes.
So when I stack it in ice chest to fly, I'll put frozen, cold, frozen, cold, frozen, cold.
Nice.
Right? Then I'll get 48 pounds or
So you
whatever
can
it
get a
worked
bit
out
more
to be.
stuff in there that way.
Then I'll duct tape it, and we'll get five ice chests or so like that, and then it's just fumbling them on getting them to the airport.
Yep.
Do you ever have any funny conversations with people checking you in where you're like, have you got anything that we should know about?
They usually say fish.
Yeah.
They're
yeah.
like, oh,
is that
fish?
fish?
Yeah,
No, it's axis deer.
Yeah, it's axis
Okay,
deer or
great.
it's pig
Basically
or,
the same thing.
Yeah.
whatever. So, yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, we've done enough. It's easy, for us, it's just the routine. The Target or Walmart will sell those ice chests usually.
Yeah, get some Ziplocs and a cooler.
Yeah, go buy Ziplocs, cooler right away. Just one cooler to start with.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you might end up going there. And sometimes it's hard to find that cooler. You'll pay $80-$90 for one, and you really don't need another one at home, right? So you don't
Exactly.
need a fancy one.
Yeah.
So just something light and
Simple. That'll
get the
do
job done, hold 50 pounds, So,
50 pounds is like the usual limit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Like I heard a funny story the other day that I've got to share. A friend of mine who lives in the same town as me at the moment, and this is something I didn't even know was a possibility, but apparently if you're flying domestically, you can actually take wild game in hand luggage if it's entirely encased in a giant block of ice. And I didn't know this. So he told me the other day, he was I shot a bunch of pheasants over in Idaho. And he just like wanted to bring one back for a friend. And he just put the whole thing in just effectively like a giant ice cube, and then had it in his hand, like in a satchel, in his hand luggage, like on the plane.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I've put Oryx backstrap coming back from Texas
Yeah.
in my luggage.
Okay.
Just regular
Your carry-on.
luggage. Carry on. It was frozen in a Ziploc. Yeah, they don't.
And they're fine.
Yeah, as long as it's Ziploc, they want
long
it.
as it's not
They
leaking.
want it in a they want it in a
As long
bag.
as it's not dripping all over everybody's luggage.
But it was frozen
man.
by the time I got home.
So
It was
bad.
still It was still frozen.
Yeah, I mean, that's
know?
the thing, right? Like, you think it's going to melt quick, but like, I mean, this guy, shout out to Hunter who did this. Hunter, who is a hunter. Yeah, he said like it was hours, and I think his flight got delayed and all kinds of nightmare
Just
situation.
pheasant.
He's got this ominous ice cube over his shoulder.
funny.
But
hilarious.
it barely lost any of the block of ice only reduced a little bit, and it was fine. So
That's hilarious.
Good to know.
couldn't resist but share that. Okay, so you guys have an event coming up. I'd love if you guys have a moment to talk a bit more about it. We covered it a little bit at the beginning, but I'm going to put this podcast out beforehand so that people can hear about it and get excited about it if they're in the area and they want to come check it out. Mm-hmm. The Broadhead Shoot. Tell me about it.
Let's see. The Broadhead Shoot was born out of people not having a place to shoot their broadheads and not really even talking about shooting their broadheads, really. And so we approached Marilyn, the club president, who has the event out at her ranch, and said, what if we put on a broadhead shoot?
Yeah.
And I know it's going to tear up all these targets, but every penny we make will go back to the club, and we'll buy new targets. And she's like, great, let's do it. So it's been it's been about 10 years now that we've been doing the broadhead shoot. So it's 35 targets, 1 arrow per target.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you're scoring your arrows. It's pretty cool because a lot of these people have never been to a 3D shoot before. They're, for whatever reason, they just thought it wasn't for them. But when you bring out your hunting gear and your broadheads, it's a cool thing to try.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps bridge that gap a little bit for bow hunters to start target shooting or 3D shooting also.
Yeah.
We are there to support anybody who needs help with anything. It's family friendly. Kids can come out and shoot for like $10 or something like that. And it's with just field points.
Yeah.
People come out and camp for the weekend. That we get a lot of donations for the raffle and try to really promote that stuff. That's on Sunday, May 19th. And the Saturday before that, May 18th, we do a pack race. So I forget how many years this has been going on, but basically we had a couple people approach us saying, let's do a pack race. It'd be so fun. And we're like, great, let's do it. So the pack race is up to 5 miles long around the hills. You have a 50-pound weight in your backpack. You bring your backpack. We supply the weight.
It's like a sandbag.
Yeah,
At
it's
least
like
it
a
was last
sandbag.
time.
Yeah, women have a 30-pound bag. You also bring your bow and arrows with field points, and you shoot up like 5 targets throughout the course, and your shot either deducts or adds time to your overall race time.
Depending on how good you hit the
Yeah.
target.
Yeah.
So you can't just miss every target and still win the race. So you have to actually hit your target. And it's pretty cool. It's sponsored by Wilderness Athlete and it's sponsored by Kafaru this year. So Kafaru is giving away a backpack to the male and female winner of the pack race. And we have Ben from Wilderness Athlete out there giving everybody samples, and he's giving out gift certificates and all kinds of cool stuff. So it's just a fun event. It's like,
Totally.
there's no pressure. It's not what you would typically think about like a competition. It's just,
It's
come
super
on
fun.
out, have a good time. Nobody even cares how you do. You do your personal best.
Yeah, you can take it as serious as you like.
Camp with us for the weekend. We barbecue. We hang out. It's just a cool.
I think there's always a couple of people who take that pack race, push pretty hard.
serious.
I've got to say,
yeah.
I am one of those
Yeah.
people.
No, you're not the only one.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I think I bled from my eyeballs last time, and I loved it. Like it's that race. I didn't know what it was until you guys mentioned it. I think when I was at the shop one time, and I've always been competitive.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably obvious, but I've always loved doing sports as well. And I'm kind of like I used to be kind of I guess an amateur, but like with lofty ambitions to try and become a professional cyclist at some point, and like a time trial, like a really hard physical sustained effort, that is my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And then that coupled with archery competition, like shooting targets, oh my god, what a
So
dream.
much
That is
fun.
like, I think I found my sport. I think I did actually try and find it in other places. I can't really find it anywhere else right now, but maybe it needs to be more of a thing. But yeah, I will definitely be back. It
Good.
was
That's
epic.
Good.
And then, so if there's anywhere else where people can find you, on maybe on Instagram, or if there's head to your website.
Yeah. Our website has an online store. We sell a lot of the things in the shop, not everything on the online store. If you don't see what you're looking for, call us or send us a message. We help people out from all over the place. You can also find the tickets to the pack race in Broadhead Chute on our online store. And then
great.
we're on Instagram, and we do a little bit of Facebook, but mostly Instagram.
Okay, and we'll put all the links in the show notes.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It was
thank
so
you.
good. It was really good to hear your story. I had some good chats with you in the past, but it was nice to really sit down and hear everything. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, last night we were talking about just what we could talk about. We're like, we've been done some crazy things in the last few years, and
Yeah. Last 3 years
Yeah.
been crazy.
like mule deer,
Yeah.
antelope,
She's done really well last 3 years.
axis. Like it's been a cool ride,
Yeah.
Maybe we can get you on again at some point. If you shoot another ridiculous animal, I'm going to want to hear all about it.
Never know.
you know.
Yeah.
We'll have to get you back. I want to hear
Yeah.
more.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. That wraps up another episode. I want to give a big thank you again to Hans and Adrienne for all the skills and stories that they shared. You can follow their adventures on Instagram. There's links to their socials, but also I'll give a link to their website in the show notes too. They have a store, but they also have a bunch of other info. There's also the opportunity to buy tickets to the Broadhead Chute and the personal favorite of mine, the pack race. You can get that there too. If you enjoyed this episode or any of the others that you may have heard before it, then you could do me a favor and actually do your friend a favor too by sending it their way. That's all for now. Thanks for listening, and until next time.